it'll go red like that and it'll pan in. It's just pressing the right hand button. So okay.
Good evening, members. We just would like to remain standing while my friend Danny addresses you.
I'd like to say a prayer for international understanding. Makor HaShalom, source of peace, be with those who guide the destinies of the world, so that an end may come to boasting and vainglory, and the reign of arrogance dwindle in our time. Give them the courage to speak the truth, and the humility to listen. Help us all to put the good of our fellow human beings above our own ambitions, and the truth which does not profit us above the lie which does. So may we stand upright, freed from the burden of fear and the weight of suspicion, learning to trust each other. Help each one of us to bring our own offering of understanding and our own sacrifice for peace, so that we are at peace with ourselves and live in peace with those around us. Then in tranquility may we all go forward to build your realm on the world, until the earth will be filled with your knowledge as the waters cover the sea. And for us here, let us listen to each other with respect and treat each other with wisdom and generosity, so that we witness to the Creator we serve and justify your choice of us. May none of our controversies rise up from ambition and self-seeking. Let them only be for the sake of heaven. May our eyes be open to see your greatness in the smallest things we do. Through our faithfulness, may the cause of goodness prosper in the world. May God support the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Danny. Thanks for coming along. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please be seated, members. Are we ready, members? Are we ready? Got people talking at the back. Item 1 on the agenda, apologies for absence. Councillor Harvey? No apologies. Councillor Gavin James? Councillor Carr?
Yes, Councillor McIntyre, Councillor Golding and Councillor Minnesbound.
Thank you very much. Councillor Ibrahim?
Apologies from Councillor Harper, Councillor West and Councillor Lee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 2 on the agenda, are there any declarations of interest? No? Okay. Minutes of the meetings held on the 17th of July and the 25th of September. I'm happy to move those. Have we got a seconder? By the way. Okay. Right. Agreed. Okay. Just for a change, I've got some announcements. I don't intend to regale you or bore you with all the places I've been, but the following are the most important. Number 1, on Saturday, October the 4th, we held the Mayor's Variety Show at the Anvil, which was well received. Secondly, on Friday, October the 10th, I was delighted to attend the 10th anniversary of the Social Inclusion Partnership. and recognise the collaboration of a variety of organisations, including local support from various charities, people with lived experience, Basingstoke Dean Borough Council officers, registered providers and faith groups in joint efforts to tackle rust sleeping and homelessness in the borough. Item 3. On Saturday, October the 11th, we held the delayed Mayor's Civic Service, normally held in June, to welcome the new Mayor and Deputy. I'd like to extend my thanks to the 2 from a possible 52 borough councillors and ex-mayors who turned up to support myself and the Deputy Mayor. Looking forward, I'm resurrecting the Mayor's charity quiz that was held before COVID. That's on Saturday, 22nd of November at the Oak Ridge Hall for all. Come along in teams of 6. And lastly, the Mayor's Carol service is on Saturday, the 6th of December at St Michael's Church. There's plenty of room at the inn. All are welcome. Number 5. We've got questions from members of the public. The questioners have got 2 minutes and they've got a supplementary if they want them. And I understand that some of these questioners are not here tonight. So in that case, we'll move to number 1, which is from Jane Love. Are we happy that that's taken as on the order paper? Or do you really want me to read it? You happy? Councillor Morrow to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to take it bit by bit. One of the things said that it was seldom used and not needed. The current facility has had over 52,000 visits during 2024 and 2025. It is well used and it's popular. England Golf recognises that it caters for leisure and recreational golfers. This includes youngsters, families and people in the latter stages of life who not do consider themselves golfers. They use the facility as a sport and leisure outing, and it undoubtedly helps with their well-being. To understand all views on, have current users had their say? To understand all views on our proposals, we have and are engaging with users of the golf centre. We are getting their feedback. It is important that we hear and carefully consider all views to shape the next steps we take. With regards to the comment that there's no cost to the council, the proposed location for reprovision is public open space and forms part of the wider Downgrange area, which is home to our sports and leisure hub. The whole area is already maintained at a cost to the council. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the fact that Jane Love's not here, she doesn't get the opportunity for a supplementary. We're on to number 2, which is from Michael Whittaker, who's also not here. That looks like 3 questions there. Councillor Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll sort of link it to the actual question, make sure it corresponds. Initial concept proposals have been designed to continue providing public access, protecting certain areas of the park while maintaining the safety of everyone using the site. This includes a series of walkways through and around the proposed course without the need for fencing. We are working to understand all views to determine the best way forward. The planning application would be submitted on a similar timescale to Great Wolf so both applications could be reviewed together. If the Great Wolf scheme is not granted approval by the local planning authority, there will be no need to re-provide facilities at Downgrange and the Basingstoke Golf Centre will continue to run as is. Great Wolf Resorts carrying out work in preparation to submit a planning application for their proposed new indoor water park resort. Sorry, that was terribly read. They are submitting a planning application, Great Wolf, currently, and the transport assessment would form part of that application.
Thank you very much. Stuart Johnston, can you come forward to the microphone, please, Stuart?
I'm a member of Basingstoke Disc Golf Club. We've been using Downgrange Park for the last 13 years, just for context. My question is...
Can you put the microphone on, Stuart? Cheers.
Yeah, I'll sit. My question is, how does the council propose that disc golf can be played safely alongside a new pitch and putt in Downgrange Park?
Thank you, Stuart. We have had extensive discussions with clubs at Downgrange, including conversations with the Disc Golf Club, to understand how they informally use the space on the parkland. We will continue to liaise with the club to understand how disc golf could be incorporated alongside our proposals.
Do you have a supplementary, Stuart?
Yes, I do. Given that Downgrange already hosts an award-winning disc golf club with multiple British champions and a strong mental health record, can you explain why the council is now proposing to site golf facilities there, where the two sports are quite clearly incompatible in the same space, and whether this would have even been considered if the Great Wolf development had not been proposed elsewhere?
Thanks. I would dispute that they're incompatible. There's a lot of places where they mix foot golf, disc golf. I'm not sure about disc golf because it's a bit less popular as a sport compared to those other mixed use places. However, I've been down to see the disc golf and what you do. I think it's an incredibly diverse community. It's a really up and coming thing. I would really like to work with you guys. We have pointed the guy that does most of the designing of your holes in the direction of the golf course designer, and I really think he should, join him and look into it. I really think we can do something. How it works, I'm not sure yet, but I definitely think we can make something where we can have a disc golf offering as well as a pitch and putt. You currently make disc golf work at Downgrange, so why can't we make both work? Thanks.
Thank you. Susie Johnston.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me without sitting down? Or shall I sit? All good? Thank you very much. So, where will families, young people and local residents now be able to meet for informal recreation and picnics if large areas of Downgrange Park are turned over to use golf?
That's you again, Councillor Morrow.
Thank you. Thank you, Susie. Our initial proposals only use part of the parkland and include other improvements such as the proposed pond and wetland areas. It has been carefully designed to ensure golf balls are kept within this area with a buffer to the open spaces. This would maintain areas for all users, including families, to continue to enjoy the space at Downgrange for activities such as picnics. Thanks.
Thank you. Susie, do you have a supplementary?
I do, yes. And just a quick comment on that. I think the design of the park, or the pitch and putt that I've seen so far, there is a lot of overlap with previous people's questions. So the usage right now, and also the way that it's designed, there is no space for people to go and sit in open areas for picnics. That wherever the balls are going to go, they will go in a triangle. You can't sit on that triangle, unfortunately. And then there's a pond where there would be other open space. But my question as a supplement is, as pitch and putt is a restricted fee-paying facility catering to a narrow demographic, how do these plans comply with the council's own green infrastructure strategy commitment to keep Downgrange as a free, open and inclusive community space for everyone?
Right. There's quite a lot in that supplementary to cover, but it is remaining open to the public. The biodiversity on the site will increase if this proposal went ahead. The talk of no spaces that aren't free of golf balls. It's clear from the way they've positioned the holes that if they're hitting the balls away from certain areas on purpose, and there's a large area in the middle of the site from the car park down that is a good place that won't have any holes forcing it. There's one hole, but it's surrounded by trees. So there is definitely areas in that park that will be good for having picnics and things. Also, we'll be putting benches around the pond, I believe. So if if they're going to put benches there, I'm sure they're also confident that there's no issues. I don't know if you want to repeat any of your questions if I haven't answered any of it, because I might have missed.
Yeah, sure. So it was around the green infrastructure strategy commitment that the council set down a few years ago now. So where there was a commitment in that to keep Downgrange as a free, open and inclusive community space for everybody?
Yes, so it will be free and open still. As the strategy, I mean, I've looked at the local nature recovery strategy, and it does include the park. As it is currently, it doesn't have high biodiversity, and the proposals will actually increase biodiversity. The main area of conservation on that bit of land is in the conservation area where the group works, and that is not being affected by this proposal. And of course, we'll always support that. Thanks.
Thank you. Miranda Smith.
Hi, good evening. Miranda Smith, obviously, President of the Basingstoke Hockey Club and actually a resident on site of Downgrange. What steps will the council take to prevent antisocial behaviour such as the dirt bikes and e-scooters that are being used across Downgrange Park if new golf facilities are introduced?
Yeah, thank you, Miranda, for your question. As I'm the portfolio holder for community safety, I'm happy to answer the question.
I can't hear you, sorry. Could you speak up, please?
Sorry, we are on. I'm happy to... yeah, sorry, could the public speaker switch off? Because I think that's the...
Off? Okay.
Thank you. That should pick up more clearly. So, thank you for the question, which I'm happy to answer. I was about to say I'm also happy to give Councillor Morrow a short break in the answers. So, our community safety team leads our partnership approach to antisocial behaviour, managing antisocial behaviour cases and putting in place-based solutions to reduce ASB. So on the ground, antisocial behaviour is tackled by community safety patrol officers who carry out visible, uniformed patrols across the borough, proactively challenging antisocial behaviour where it happens and supporting those affected. We're aware of recent concerns at Downgrange, including the deeply upsetting fire at the hockey club. Our teams are actively responding with regular high-visibility patrols, addressing ASB directly and working with the local police teams because they have the powers relating to vehicle nuisance. We are exploring further measures to help prevent crime and disorder in the area. ASB in any form is unacceptable, and we'd encourage anyone who witnesses ASB to let the police know, calling 101 999 in an emergency or by reporting it online on the police's website. The website may not provide an immediate answer, but it does allow the police to build up a map and understand if there's a hotspot that will bring it up their priority list. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary, Miranda?
Yeah. Why hasn't the council properly explored and published alternative viable sites with the same level of detail and public engagement as Downgrange before pressing ahead? And does this not suggest a predetermined decision rather than an open consultation process?
Who wants to take that one? Okay, Councillor Morrow.
Hi there. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so the Cabinet did look at all these sites, and we didn't choose to put it in our papers, but we have invited in ward councillors and councillors affected by the proposal in to look at that, and they've had the opportunity to share that with their residents. What was the rest of your question? I've forgotten.
That's pretty much it, but the rest of the residents, just one last thing is, as a resident on site, and I think there are 4 of us along there, none of us have had any approach from the council nor a letter engaging us and telling us of any of this. My neighbours in fact didn't know. I only knew because I was president of the hockey club, and I actually informed my neighbours. So the people on site seem to mean very little, and they're private houses.
I think that's an extra supplementary.
I think that is an extra supplementary.
Happy to answer.
I will allow it, Councillor Morrow.
We've sent 4,000 letters out locally. If some missed, then that's unfortunate. But we've also, I mean, I've held 10 meetings with different clubs across the who are at Downgrange. If you're not aware that those meetings have taken place, I'd be quite amazed. Well, you're at one of them.
Exactly, and I informed my neighbours.
Well, that's how we're glad you are, and we're not trying to hide anything. We've, like I say, I've had 10 separate meetings. I've been on site countless times. We've put out comms. We've written to local news outlets, There has been a lot of engagement in this. The only formal engagement required of the council was actually at the planning stage. This is what we want to do, so that's... Thanks.
Thank you. I'd have thought that the 4 houses...
Excuse me, and that, I think that's your lot actually, sorry. Cheers. Can we have Don Powell?
How does the council propose that cross-country and athletics training used by hundreds of young athletes each week can take place safely in the same area as a pitch and putt course?
Thank you, and thank you for your question. We have been talking to clubs and users to understand their informal uses of the site, and I've also visited the site a number of times. We have been and continue to be very open with the clubs and are very happy to keep talking with them. And lines of communication could continue to be open with the sports clubs. Following earlier discussions, the initial designs were amended to reduce the pitch and putt course from a 9-hole to a 6-hole course. This would reduce the space needed for the pitch and putt. However, further talks are going on with the athletics club about their informal training and how we could use other parts of the 110-acre site too. An existing training... let me read that again. However, further talks are going on with the athletics club about how their informal training could use other parts of the 110-acre site too, and existing training facilities could be enhanced. The council has a strong history of supporting the athletics club, and the commitment remains.
That field...
That's just, you want a supplementary course, yeah.
Sorry, I just want to answer, can I allow to answer what he's just replied?
You've got the ability to ask a supplementary question.
Okay. Let me just say I just don't agree with what he said. Okay, my supplementary is Downgrange Park has been used by the athletics club since the 1970s with up to 400 weekly users, including world-class athletes. How on earth can the council justify not being fully aware of the level of usage of that particular field alongside the disc golf and the general recreation before deciding this was the best site to relocate golf facilities to?
I understand that, and I have been to visit the training sessions, and I do see how valuable they are. The fact is it's public open space, and any sports club in the borough just cannot claim a right to open green space. Moving forward, we do want to make sure that we don't lose that training. We don't want to reduce the what our young athletes, have the opportunities to in this borough, but we also have a consideration of another facility that's being lost, and that does also have a huge impact because it's another sport and there's a lot of people that play that. So somewhere in this borough we're going to have to find a spot to re-provide those facilities, and this one seems to be the least impactful spot, and that's the decision the cabinet made. But we're looking into it. We have reached out to the athletics club, and we honestly want to find a way to mitigate that training sessions, and I just want those talks to happen, because at the moment it's a clear we don't want it, but we don't know what's going to happen at this stage, but if it does happen, we need to have those talks so we at least have mitigation in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Lucy Wayne?
Hi, so my question today is on behalf of my golden retriever Mabel and all the dogs of Downgrange. So will dog owners and walkers be required to keep dogs on leads or be restricted to paths if a pitch and putt course is introduced at Downgrange?
Thank you for your question, Lucy. Dogs will not be required to be on leads or restricted to paths if a pitch and putt course is introduced at Downgrange. As with any park and open space in the borough, we would ask owners to adhere to the Countryside Code and remain responsible, meaning dogs should be kept under control and in that site at all times. The pitch and putt course proposal has been designed to protect public access. I must note, dogs are already able to roam freely around the whole site, including the playing field pitches, and we trust in owners' ability to sensibly manage their dogs. While dogs can be walked off lead, dogs that do not listen to commands or are around wildlife or children should be kept on a lead, and we would ask owners to be mindful of others around them. As at other public courses, we would also ask golf players to give way to the public and show consideration to other users of the site. Thanks.
And Lucy, do you have a supplementary?
I do, yes, and I'm going to ask you to answer this without extolling the supposed virtues of your golf centre or blaming the likes of Sports England or the importance of golf over all other sports. So my supplementary question is, can the council please explain why you believe the public, the sports clubs and the dogs of Downgrange no longer require all the open, natural, untouched green space they currently enjoy at Downgrange Park and its surrounding areas?
I'm sorry, I won't. I will take Sports England advice, and I will take England Golf's advice, because that's what I should do as a sports portfolio holder. And Golf England highly values the golf centre that we have, and it's because of the fact it's a grassroots facility. So I will value that. I do also realise that it's impactful on dog walkers and the space that you have, but I will ask that you share that space, and that's what I say I'll ask. This is a cabinet decision, and I'm just representing and answering the questions tonight. But,
So, Councillor,
You've had your supplementary. I'm sorry.
No, but he hasn't actually answered my question. So my question...
She wants me to...
My question is, why does the council believe the public no longer requires all this open space?
Yes, it's still open to the public, and people will still be able to walk their dogs. I think you'll find at 7 a.m. till 9 a.m. You'll be able to walk your dog without even seeing a golfer. Thank you.
Right, Lucy, thank you. Members and residents, we've reached the end of 20 minutes allowed for residents' questions, but I'm happy to extend to listen to the last two questions in terms of democracy. So, Mark Smith.
Hello. Can the Cabinet member confirm what the anticipated running costs will be for the proposed pitch and Downgrange Park, including the staffing and the management, the policing, access, maintenance such as retrieving balls, etc., and how they deal with the costs associated to antisocial behaviour and vandalism that we have on site, given the current and past incidents, including the arson attack at the hockey club?
Thank you, Mark. We do not have detailed operational costs at this stage, and we expect the facility to run by our appointed leisure operator. This would mean they would cover all costs associated with the operation and maintenance of this proposed facility. The current site generates a surplus, and we expect the proposed facilities at Downgrange to be on par or potentially cheaper to run. This is a result of the modern technology that would be used on the golf pods compared to the driving range, and the course being on more modest scale.
Supplementary, Mark.
I do. At what point does the public outcry actually matter to this administration? Thousands of residents have signed petitions, written emails, spoken out, yet it feels like our voices are not being listened to. People are losing faith in the council process. How loud do residents need to shout before you would listen to us?
I can assure you that we are listening. There are all sorts of processes for feedback. It's not just the petition. We've also had a public engagement event, a 5-hour-long event that a lot of councillors were there listening, and we have, and we've put them. We're almost finished putting that together. We'll share the results from that. We are listening to that. My comment would be we will listen to reasonable comments, and we will shape our next steps from them reasonable comments. And yes, it's undoubtedly we're listening. I haven't spent all the last 9 months coming to meet all you people, not listening. I've done that because I think it's the right thing to do, and I want to make sure that we pick the right place to provide these facilities. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you. You had one supplementary, that's enough. Thank you, sorry. Lee Henderson.
Hi, I'm Lee Henderson. I've been a member of Basingstoke Athletic Club since 1974. Competed, trained and coached over the area that we're talking about. My question is, what research has the Council undertaken to understand the training and competition space requirements of different sports at Down Grange?
Thank you, Lee. We have had extensive discussions with clubs at Down Grange. This includes the Hockey Club, Athletics Club, Rugby Club, Rifle and Pistol Club, Disc Golf Club and Petanque Club. We have used these insights to adapt our initial proposals, and I think that you're well aware of the links you have with the borough through our sports team. Thank you.
You have a supplementary, Lee.
Council representatives have repeatedly stated that the space will still be available for training and walking, as has been noted. They have also said that no fences or netting will be required. Can the Council guarantee that such devices will not be required in the future? The essence of the space will be fundamentally changed by the pitch and putt course. It would be destroyed by fences or netting, along with the Council's reputation as a trusted local authority.
Well, yes, I can guarantee that the netting and fences will not be put around the site.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes questions for the members of the public. We're moving on now to item 6 on the agenda, petitions. Are there any petitions that we need to receive this evening? Councillor Basham.
Mr. Mayor, I have a point of order, if I may. Our rules of procedure for petitions at section 4.90 require or set out that petitions may be presented by the petitioner or a councillor. My understanding is that Lucy Wayne is not the petitioner and that the petitioner is Claire Harrison. Further, at section 4, it says the petition organiser may present for up to 5 minutes. There's no provision for anyone other than the petition organiser to present. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your consideration of our constitution.
Thank you, Councillor Basham. It's in my gift to allow it, and I'm allowing the petition.
Shall I start?
Lucy, you've got 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing this. Can you hear me okay? So good evening everyone, my name's Lucy, I'm a resident local to Down Grange, and it's with a mixture of both pride and great sadness that I come here today to present the petition results for this campaign. And this sense of pride I mentioned comes from seeing that I live in a community that's not afraid to stand up for what is right, a community that without exception is fighting hard to protect a space that's been valuable to generations before and should remain valuable to generations in the future. A space that means so much to the people here in Basingstoke, and in a town where green spaces are rare, is widely used and loved by people of any age, background, race and economic status. So on behalf of those who can't be here today, I would like to share just a few of the many quotes we have from those that have signed the petition. From dog walkers to community events, Down Grange is integral to life in Basingstoke. It's not just a park, it's a place that holds emotional and social value for so many of us. The idea of replacing part of this beloved space with a golf course raises serious concerns. Down Grange is an essential part of community life. It provides focus for young people to develop their skills, friendships and keep fit, brings together people from all walks of life, irrespective of their class and social standing. It's essential it remains as it is. Having the freedom to walk around this untouched green space gave me the headspace I needed to recover from a very challenging life experience and to get back into society peacefully and at my own pace. And that last quote is actually my own. This is how much Downgrange Park in its current form has helped me personally. Without it, I don't know where I'd be today, and I say that not to cause effect. But whilst to this council, Downgrange appears to be a patch of pretty land for the taking, but for myself and thousands of others, this space is at the absolute core of our sense of community, of well-being and of personal safety. So I remain astounded, as do the public, astounded that the committee sat here today and many of the councillors can hear this community over recent months and still think this development in this location is in any way fair, moral or for the well-being of the Basingstoke community. But maybe I'm not that surprised. As we know, the council has selected Downgrange without previously engaging any users to find out how it's used. And despite the strength of feeling against the development, despite the council learning about the displacement of thousands of people each year from the space, despite the lack of need and despite the obvious discrimination against several protected groups, the council push ahead with this sense of desperation. A desperation so strong, it seems, that some of the tactics we've been seeing used by the council and councillors are quite frankly astounding. This level of desperation and wrongdoing is often seen when people creating the issue know that that square peg is just never going to fit in that round hole, or potentially when the people creating the issue are privately discussing larger expansion plans that would take even more of Downgrange from the public. If I go back to my point about pride, I'm proud to represent the community here today who are fighting for what is right, and the numbers speak for themselves. Over 6,300 people have now signed this petition, and as the numbers continue to rise, both from the local users of Downgrange and those that travel from outside the town to enjoy it, the message is clear to this committee. An extraordinary number of the public you serve have spoken, and you need to hear us. And I'm just going to conclude by saying, please don't take this space away from the thousands of people that use it every year. Please don't take it away from the disc golf club and the athletics club. They have nowhere else to go. Please don't deprive someone's grandparents or someone's child from a safe and free wander amongst nature that's on their doorstep. And please don't take this space away from a puppy learning to socialise or the old dog on their very last walk. And please don't take this peace away from the people who need peace. Please do not destroy Downgrange just because you can. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Members, we move on to item 7 on the agenda, which is resignations and appointments, which comes in a two-parter. We've got changes to committee seats that have been received and set out in the update paper. Are there any changes to the committee seats, or are they agreed? Agreed, Councillor Carr? Yes, okay, we're in agreement. And the second part of this item 7 is, are there any nominations to fill vacancies on the outside bodies listed, or are they agreed? Councillor.
Apologies, Mr. Mayor, I may have slightly confused that. I did have one small change to the committee appointments, if that's permissible,
absolutely.
Which was to swap out Councillor John Isaacs for Councillor Aaron Mummalaneni on the Resident Services Committee.
Agreed. We're on to item 8 on the agenda, which is the Q1 Capital Monitoring Report, as at the 30th of June 2025. Councillor Gavin James to move the report.
Good evening, Mayor. Yes, thank you. You'll be aware that Basingstoke and Deane has one of the most ambitious capital programmes of any district authority in the country, doing great things around the borough. This is the Q1 update, so you wouldn't expect to see a great deal of variance because it's 3 months into the financial year, and that's indicated in the report. There is some slight variance which is explained within the body of the report. However, we are bringing it here tonight because there are a few changes that we need to notify council and get approval for. The first one relates to Manydown. This is around the way the loans are working with Homes England and our developer partners, and the need to make sure that there's no delay to work whilst they go through that process, which is quite long-winded. So although it goes in a capital programme, this is indicating a loan to ourselves effectively for the Manydown development, which will be repaid, but it has to show in the capital programme for us to dispense that funding. There's a further adjustment to the programme which is relating to the new waste collection. After review, now that new waste collection design of service has been completed, it's recognised that some of the stuff we put into the capital programme actually should be sitting within our revenue budget. So it will come out of the capital programme and be reflected in future revenue budgets. The final two relate to affordable housing schemes. One is the 644,000 is money from the government to assist with housing of Ukrainian refugees, so that's something we'll be doing, so it doesn't impact on the housing for local people. The other scheme is looking at affordable housing schemes. We don't have a specific scheme in place, but it's looking at affordable housing schemes in rural areas. One of the challenges is if we do find the right scheme and want to progress with that, it needs to be in the capital programme so we can actually spend the money, and what we don't want to do is have to wait till the next full council to put any money in there. So the money is there. It's 106 money for the purposes of increasing affordable housing in rural areas, and so it just means the money is available as and when those small schemes come up. And that will be asking council to approve those changes. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a seconder? And do you want to speak now, Councillor Harvey, or reserve your right? Does anybody else wish to speak on this matter? No? Sounds like we're all agreed. Agreed? All right, item 9, which is allocation of seats to political groups. I think you've read the update. I'm happy to move this. Does anybody wish to speak? Yeah, but Deputy Mayor's going to second it. But does anybody wish to speak? No? So you're happy to second it?
Seconded.
Okay, that's number 9 done. Number 10 is the establishment of a Southam and Buckskin Regeneration Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which is down to me to move. The Deputy Mayor to second. But firstly, does anybody wish to speak, or in terms of Councillor Harvey, Councillor Gavin James, Councillor Ibrahim, to tell us who their members are? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to confirm, members of the committee will be Councillor Oborne, Tuck and Grassie, and the substitutes will be Councillors Ashfield, Watts and Katecha.
So what, individually?
So, after 2 recommendations, and the first 2 recommendations, and the board agreed.
Yeah. Well, certainly, apparently I should have asked, are the recommendations agreed? But before we got into members. Are they agreed? Thank you very much. Now we go on to members from each group. So,
as I said, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, I got that one. Councillor Gavin James.
Yes, our members are going to be Councillor Bowes, and she doesn't know yet, but Councillor Slimming. However, what I will say is, that's because you didn't come to the group meeting. But what I will say is, in the spirit of, obviously, we'll have to go through legal first. I recognise there are 3 Southam councillors, and they're all in the Labour group, and they won't all be able to sit on the committee. So it may be that we have a discussion around whether or not it'd be more appropriate for us to give them that place. But I'll leave that as a dancing thought at the moment, because I do think it's important, if we're going to do this committee, that they are on it. In terms of substitutions, well, obviously Councillor Hussey's not here, so he's now a substitution. And Councillor Conquest, you're no longer a substitute on licensing, you're now a substitute on this. Thank you.
Councillor Ibrahim, have you got 2 members?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to actually propose the appointment of Councillor Gary Watts and Councillor Tony James to the committee. I'd like also to propose Councillor Joy Harper as a reserve.
Thank you very much. So we move on now. A chair needs to be appointed to the committee. I have a nomination for Councillor Dillow. Are there any other nominations? Councillor Jones.
I'm quite happy for him to stand as long as we don't get the whinging we had a few weeks ago about the cost. because I did volunteer. I'm not really interested for doing it for nothing. So
That's a support, is it? Yeah. Councillor, is that all, everybody agreed that Councillor Dillow's the chair? Yes, thank you very much. Item 11 on the agenda is the appointment of an independent person and independent standards assessor. I'm going to move that one. And
I'm seconding.
You're seconding that? Is that agreed? Right. As far as the two motions go, I'm suspending the 20-minute rule. I want everybody to have a fair chance to speak on this motion. I don't want, on both motions, I don't want 5 people just doing 4 minutes. So everybody gets the opportunity over more than 20 minutes, but only speak once. Thank you very much. Councillor Jones, do you want to move this?
thank you, Mayor. Where do we start? I think we already know what it's all about, thanks to the public. Downgrange is a strange place, really, when you actually think about it. It's been left over. I don't know how it happened, but it's been left over the years. I'm originally from Southam. You've got Kempshott, you've got Brighton Hill, and you've also got other areas that it's a place where people could actually go. And that's what's come out tonight. We've got a petition of 6,000 people. When was the last time we got a reasonable petition from actual people? You know, we've got to actually listen. You know, I was consulted on this golf thing. I wasn't happy with it. And before anybody says that we as Southam councillors were not happy. And I don't know how you can run a pitch and putt without a fence. Because by Christ, if you get me in there, someone will die. Because I'm not that safe. I'm going to leave it so you can all debate it, and I will come back at the end if there's things up. But I think you've got to think of this in the round. Just when I don't want to lose the golf course where it is, I'll be perfectly honest. We're being bought out. So surely, with all that money, we can find a reasonable place, even if we have to buy the land. Oh, we've got, what's it called, Manydown. We haven't built on that yet, so it might be an idea to use it or something. But I'll leave it open to the debate and I will come back. Thank you.
Councillor McCormick, do you want to speak now, seconder, or reserve your right?
I'll speak now if I may, Mr. Mayor. So, Downgrange is a unique piece of land. It's quite a large piece of land. It's about 3 miles round the outside. It takes about half an hour to run round it. We've got numerous clubs that use Downgrange. We've had representations tonight from the hockey club and the athletics club. It's a very popular piece of land. The pitch and putt is very popular. That attracts 50,000 users in the past year. So I'm a bit disappointed to see that we appear to be shoehorning an inferior facility into a piece of land outside the front of Miller and Carter. That's a nice piece of land that it is. There's plenty of other pieces of land. You evaluated 40 sites. I'm really struggling to understand how this one came top of all 40 of them, or even how it made the shortlist of 8 and what the relative merits were. I think there probably is a better place to put this. I mean, Manydown out the west of Basingstoke, somewhere like that. Manydown, Worthing, Opportunity, not that far from the existing pitch and putt. We've got a driving range there. I mean, the alternative provision doesn't sound anywhere near as good. It's only got 6 holes instead of 9. And it's got a simulated driving range instead of a proper one. So the more I look into this scheme, the more I think we're basically shortchanging our residents for this, and we're depriving residents near Downgrange of a much-loved community facility. It borders on the edge of my ward. I've had representations from people, both athletics club users and residents who use it to walk their dogs and use it for recreation. And the depth of feeling tonight the fact that we've had 9 residents' questions and we've had a petition of 6,200 signatures. The last time I can recall a petition of that size would be over 20 years ago when we had an 8,000 signature petition to save the swimming pool at the sports centre. These things don't come around very often. To me, that suggests there's a very strong depth of opinion from the residents, not least in the 3 wards bounding Downgrange, that this council is going to be making a big mistake putting that facility there. So I would urge the Cabinet to reconsider, and I would urge councillors in this chamber to therefore support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, could I just make a point of clarification in relation to the numbers, just so that we have context? I understand that the numbers have been reduced from 6,000 to 4,000 when an evaluation was done as to where the petitioners were from.
Okay. Do we have? We're going to move on, but we've taken your comment on board. In no particular order, Councillor Ganesh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the opportunity to speak in support of this motion, which is a great concern for many ward residents of mine who use this community space on a regular basis, who wants this to be protected for the sake of the community and for the best future for the Basingstoke. Let me start by highlighting the clear voice of the people. It could be 6,300 or 4,000 within the borough boundary, but thousands of local people had the opportunity to say how do they feel about this the proposal, and they care deeply about our town and the green space, and they want this decision to be reflecting what the actual community or the residents in the borough want. So Downgrange is one of the most valued and well-loved, as mentioned by many this evening, where families relax, children play, sport teams train, and groups like Brownies and Rainbows meet, as mentioned in the motion. It's not just a park, it's an essential part of a community life, providing space for well-being, recreation and social interaction. We've got a motion about the health, the next motion, which has a direct link to what we are talking about right now. We are making a decision that will have a detrimental effect on well-being of our residents. So replacing part of the cherished space with a golf course raises serious concern. Let me be clear, this is not about being anti-golf. It's about understanding the impact on the community that already has limited access to outdoor spaces and sports facilities. As Basingstoke grows, with the amount of houses being built, we are facing a shortage of outdoor sports facilities. Local clubs, particularly for young people, are struggling to secure enough pitches for football, rugby and athletics. What we need are more sports spaces, not fewer. Downgrange is already a multi-sports hub. It's used by football, rugby, athletics, and I've had a chance to meet the disc golf, fitness groups, and many more. A golf course would limit access to these activities, and the individuals and the families who rely on these spaces for exercise and mental health. For many around Downgrange, it's the only place to get outside and stay active. But it's not just about the sports. Environmentally, there are serious concerns too. So Downgrange is home of mature trees, wildlife habitats and valuable green infrastructure. Destroying this ecosystem for a golf course would have far-reaching consequences for local wildlife and biodiversity.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, can I just have another point of clarification, please?
No.
It's not a golf course.
There's no such thing.
A commitment to sustainability in Basingstoke.
Can the Mayor speak? Can the Mayor speak? There's no such thing as a point of clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we've made a commitment to sustainability in Basingstoke. We can't afford to lose valuable green spaces that help with climate resilience, clean air and the overall health of our environment. We should be working more closely with Natural Basingstoke to improve the biodiversity of the ground range and the town, not destroying it. And that's an issue about transparency. Where is the transparency? This decision affects thousands of our local residents, yet we've seen little evidence of the consultation outcome that suggests Downgrange as the most feasible site to move the golf facilities. Where is the business case? Where are the environmental assessments? The people of Basingstoke deserve to know how these decisions are being made. Without transparency, it's hard to believe this proposal truly serves our town's best interest. This motion calls for accountability. We need a clear review of this proposal to ensure that plans for Downgrange reflect genuine community need, not just the convenience of the Cabinet.
You've got 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've heard enough from the residents, from the users, and the message is clear. Let's find a plan B. Let's look for solutions that support leisure growth without sacrificing the green spaces that make Basingstoke special. So we've heard a lot from the residents earlier today. I urge you all to support this motion, to reconsider the golf course plans and stand with the people of Basingstoke in ensuring Downgrange remains the space for everyone, not just for the convenience of this Cabinet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Isaac.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Clearly, the Cabinet's decision in January to approve the preferred option to replace the pitch and putt at Downgrange, described by the leader at the meeting as a huge step forward, was taken without any proper thought, investigation or consultation with local residents. Residents' unhappiness with this top-down, high-handed fait accompli is evident in this chamber tonight. It was a decision recognised at the time to be contrary to our own EM5 planning policy protecting open space and harmful to a heritage asset and on land at risk of surface water flooding. However, protecting golf facilities described as vital overrode those considerations. And there has been no transparency about the other sites that were considered. It's a bit late to be saying you want to hear residents' views. Others, like Lucy Wayne, have eloquently and passionately expressed their opposition this evening about the planned carving out of Downgrange to provide a new pitch and putt, car park, administrative facility and potentially a golf pod range and adventure golf, whatever they are. I support the motion, but I want to address something else which I think is also important. As part of the administration that commenced the discussions with Great Wolf in 2022, I continue to support the massive inward investment in a 500-room hotel and water park resort that the company will bring to our borough. Over 600 good quality jobs and over 600,000 additional visitors to Basingstoke. Involving the sale of the existing council-owned golf centre, this hugely beneficial deal requires a strong, reliable business partnership between this council and Great Wolf. If it is to invest over £300 million, Great Wolf needs to be able to trust this council to deliver on its decision that replacing the golf centre is important and that it will find a solution. Indeed, the report on which the Cabinet took its unwise decision in January stated, quote, having completed the agreement for lease with Great Wolf in July 2024, the Council is obligated to produce its golf facility reprovision strategy within 6 months of that date. It goes on, dependent on planning consultancy advice and in coordination with Great Wolf, it is anticipated that a planning strategy, detailed designs and supporting studies should be completed by autumn 25. With a planning submission to be followed in late 2025. Ideally, this will tie in with Great Wolf's planning application. One senses that all this had to be done in great haste. The report went on, quote, agreeing a golf reprovision strategy is fundamental to supporting the conditional disposal of the existing golf centre land to Great Wolf for its hotel and water park resort. End quote. Mr. Mayor, it gives me no pleasure to say that I imagine that Great Wolf must be rather shaken and concerned, to say the least, at the total hash that the administration is making over sorting out its own self-inflicted problem. Could the portfolio holder reassure me that Great Wolf retain confidence in our ability to meet our commitments as a council, or is it time for a U-turn?
Councillor Dillow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support this motion because it speaks for the people who use and love Downgrange Park every single day. And we've heard today, this evening, from the groups that use the park regularly. And over recent months, I've heard from families and dog walkers, runners, athletics coaches, and the local wildlife groups too. People who simply want to keep this precious space open and natural. Downgrange isn't just a park, it's a treasure that is part of our town's heartbeat. It's where children take their first steps in sport, and older people too, like me. Where older residents find peace and fresh air, and where wildlife still actually has a home. So residents from my ward of Kempshire and Buckskin, and across the borough too, have spoken clearly, consistently, and with passion, and we've heard the passion this evening. They do not want any type of golf, any type, pitch and putt or anything at Downgrange Park. They want to protect what we already have. This council has a duty to listen, and this administration can't keep saying we hear you, telling people their views matter, and then carry on regardless. It's time for this administration to find a plan B. It's time for this administration to pause, reflect, and truly hear what the residents are saying. Leave Downgrange Park well alone so it can remain a totally inclusive, open space for everyone to enjoy for generations to come. Thank you.
Councillor Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to speak on this topic because I believe some mistakes have been made in the understanding of our green spaces. Yes, it is correct that turning green space into a golf course is traditionally bad and a loss of biodiversity. However, in this case, the team have worked hard to increase biodiversity net gain by introducing the diversity of a water feature and other factors of diversity into what is a grass monoculture. This should improve the area. Also, I've asked for assurances around how the land will be kept public, as well as being used for pitch and putt. I think this will be a future asset for the borough, and I will be supporting the golf course, the pitch and putt, and voting against this motion.
Thank you. That's your maiden speech. Councillor Potty.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And this site that we are talking about, and I am very much in favor of this motion. We got the residents who have come here and they talked about what they feel. And I haven't seen any resident who has come and said that, oh yes, I like to have a pitch and putt. This is a golden site that we have got in Downgrange there. That site is very much good for people in my age bracket, the dog walkers, as we have been told, the children, and everybody who uses it. Downgrange is a site. It's got athletics, it's got hockey, it's got rugby, and it's got football. And we got a multifaceted site there. And this particular site that we are talking about, for me, it is a precious, and as it has been said, it's a really great site. Personally, I have got an indirect interest because I go walking there. And I feel that that site is always good for people like me who has got health problem, and many other people that I see using that site. They are absolutely delighted to have such a site there. And I feel that people who are here, I think they also treasure this site. And the thing is that one of the things that people forget, this site has served not only the people of Campshot, Hatchwarren, and nearby Buckskin and so on. This site has served the people of the whole of the borough because we have got so much sports going there. And athletic clubs have upgraded. The new club site, the clubhouse, is really fantastic. And I opened that site and I know how precious these sites are. So I really feel that, like my colleague has said, where are the options? Why can't we find option? Because for me, there are other options. Lime Pit is one. Probably the other bit is just nearby where we have got Davies Garage at the back of it. There is a site. But why haven't all the sites been investigated? There are plenty of sites in Basingstoke. We got plenty of land and green site that we can, not green site, but sites that we can use for pitch and putt. So please, I would ask the cabinet and the members of the administration to reinvestigate a proper site for the pitch and putt, but not to really destroy what we have got for the community, because we, the community, we value it, we respect it, and we want to use it. So please leave it there as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Tustain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm speaking tonight in support of this motion because I believe we need to take a proper look at what's happening with BasingstokeGov rather than talking so much about Downgrange, and more importantly, what's at risk of being lost. So listening to everything that's been said tonight, we're talking about having two public assets becoming one. That doesn't really feel right. We must accept also that the process so far has not been that easy to follow. Residents are all asking questions. Councillors are asking questions. And we lack clarity on what is being considered, the alternatives explored, and the decision-making process. There has been no scrutiny of proposed options. That also doesn't feel right. Well, let's consider what Basingstoke Golf Centre gives residents to the borough. And I know there's been said that not a lot of people use it, and that's not true, as we've heard. It doesn't give elite golf. It doesn't give a private club. It's public, it's accessible and affordable golf, the kind that welcomes beginners, families, older residents and people who want to have a go, and it's a well-loved and very well-used facility. Basingstoke Golf isn't just pitch and putt, a driving range and crazy golf. It's a place where people can have a go at golf, learn the game and enjoy crazy golf with kids. It's a place where youngsters can afford to go without breaking the bank. And that's where they can go with their friends during long school holidays, keeping them out of mischief, keeping down antisocial behaviour. It's out in the fresh air, it's away from playstations. It's something that families welcome. It's social, it's active, it's inclusive, and it's a valued community asset. So there may be concerns about how bringing this back and talking it through could possibly potentially delay the Great Wolf Resort development. And I'm in favour of that too. I think that would be a great asset to this town. But that is not a reason to skip the necessary steps of making sure we get this right. We need to address the public golf facility issue before something irrevocable is implemented, and then we have to live with the consequences. And as councillors, we're the ones that will be hearing it for years to come. If we're going to hand the site over to a commercial enterprise, we must commit to replacing this valued community asset with something like for like or better. That means keeping it public, keeping it affordable, and not reducing the facility to something smaller to tick a box. And that's one of the big things that really worries me, is the fact that this has become a smaller facility. And yes, committing to keep the crazy golf too. I appreciate that working through a process to ensure we get it right may create a delay in future delivery, but let's get this right the first time. We owe it to residents, and that is who we serve. I support this motion because we need some proper scrutiny on this. We need transparency, and we must ensure the replacement golf facility that we must have meets the high standard our residents deserve in its location, let's get that right, and activity provision, let's keep it as it is, providing them with what matters most: access, fairness, and facilities that bring joy to everyday lives. Thank you.
Councillor Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to speak in support of this motion. I just would like to start by saying we need to remind ourselves as a councillor why we're doing this, why we're proposing the idea of the golf course. Let me go back to the very basics of service delivery. I assume the reason for that is we want to provide with new leisure activities so residents can make use of it, so it can help them, so eventually improve their quality of life, and they're very happy and satisfied, or to deliver upon the needs that residents raised with us. But I can't see anything that are being met in relation to this proposal. If anything, it is upsetting residents. If anything, residents coming and saying this is not our needs. And I always thought, and I would think many people in this chamber will agree with you, we are driven by residents' needs. So residents came tonight, many of them, and there's thousands of them online, saying it loud and clear. This is not our needs, and we don't want this. And I think we need to take stock of our position as a council. And I urge and encourage the administration to take this as an opportunity to show that we care about the residents' involvement, we care about democracy, and we are listening to them, actually listening to them. By taking this back, by supporting this motion, and follow through the action outlined in this motion. So I encourage the administration and everyone in this chamber to support this motion and vote in support in favour of it. Thank you.
Councillor Gary Watts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I should be voting in favour of this motion on a personal level and on a council level. Back in the 70s, my parents moved to Brighton Hill, a new build in Brighton Hill, so we were adjacent to Down Grange, and we used to, as kids, me and my brothers and mates, there used to be football pitches over where the site is. We used to go and play football there, and there was a croquet bit outside the house, and because it was a nice bit of grass, we used to play cricket there. So it's special. And 20 years ago, my family moved back to Hatch Warren. So obviously, I used to walk my dogs around Hatch Warren. I used to run around the perimeter. As Andy has already said, it takes 3 miles. Used to do that in the morning before going to work, crazy. But also during lockdown, we went over there. We had picnic over there a few times because it was a beautiful summer at that time, wasn't it, when we went into lockdown. So I understand everybody's sentiment of how cherished and what a brilliant site this is. So I think we, as a council, are looking at, well, we're taking valuable green space away. It's a recipe for disaster. We're going to have people walking around the perimeter or walking their dogs around the perimeter and people playing golf. Golf balls are going to fly everywhere. And when we went to the consultation, they said, we're only going to have nets by the house. I just don't get it. And we've not had a risk assessment either. So we've got the A30 adjacent as well. So we'd have golf balls potentially hitting residents walking their dogs, running, just doing what their day-to-day business. And we've got a busy road nearby. So I just don't think the council has looked at it properly. When we had the consultation as councillors, Southampton councillors, we did not support it, but can't remember reading that in the cabinet papers at the time. So we were like, it's in the wrong location. It's a cherished site, and I think there's being more appropriate sites. So I think we should support this motion, go back to the cabinet, let's look at all the sites, let's be transparent, and assure us a better site, which will be less controversial than this site. So I support this motion. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Cubitt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We all love Down Grange, and we all consider it to be a treasured site. But there has been quite a bit of misinformation tonight. The proposal is not in breach of policy EM5. The proposal is not a golf course. It's not some exclusive golf club. It's for the people who love the golf pitch and putt that is now, and that is, as an administration, one of the first commitments we made was to re-provide. So that was not something that was part of the previous administration's commitment, because we realised how important it was to the community as well. The petition is, as I said earlier, it's been reduced by 30% in number to 4,000, so the 6,000 is an exaggeration. But nonetheless, it's important to hear people's views. But nothing that this proposal is advocating is removing anything from the people who use that bit of the park. And as Councillor Watts has just said, it used to be football pitches when the restaurant was the council offices. And then there's a whole area that is where the rubble, where the council has left hardcore when it's been doing works, that isn't used at all at the moment. And that's going to be brought into play. So you're actually going to have an increase in the land that's going to be available to the people. So you're still going to be able to run the perimeters. It was a football pitch. It's now beautiful landscape. It's still going to be beautiful landscape. It's just reorienting to be used by the community at large, and it is a council facility. Finally, I don't believe that we have skipped any processes. This has been a very lengthy process. We spent an inordinate amount of time. The council officers have spent an inordinate amount of time going through the whole process. The experts, Sports England, has said that the proposal absolutely meets the needs. And as I said, we didn't have to make a commitment to a reprovision. Finally, if Councillor Tustain, the Deputy Mayor, genuinely thinks that the process has been skipped and it hasn't been adhered to, which I can assure you is incorrect, you are the chairman of the Scrutiny Committee. You have it within your gift to choose to discuss anything and everything and anything you wish, as have all of us here, to table in your committee. Use your role as the chair of Scrutiny if you don't believe the process is being followed. But I can assure all of the members, that all of the public here today, that you are not going to be prevented from running the perimeter. You are not going to be prevented from using the facilities. It's not going to happen because it's going to be a sharing of the facilities. And as I said before, Councillor Watts has made a reference to the fact it was a football pitch before. Thanks, bye.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gavin James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's already been alluded to. First of all, not included within my contribution to this debate, the concern has been raised around predetermination. Now, the motion itself is simply asking for a review, so it doesn't matter how people vote on the motion. But if in presenting tonight, they indicate fundamental opposition to the proposed development, and they sit on DC, would that be considered predetermination? So I'll do my speech, but obviously we'll need some advice and guidance on that at some point this evening, because people might just want to mind their words as they speak. Now, first of all, it was interesting to see Councillor Isaac quoting from the report, and for the benefit of members of the public, there's a process here. So when there's a Cabinet meeting, the papers are published 7 days in advance of that Cabinet meeting. They're online for anyone to look at, and all councillors to look at and read. And they can then turn up to the Cabinet meeting. Now, I don't expect residents to potentially go there as their favourite website, but you'd expect your councillors to. Councillors can then turn up and they can contribute to the Cabinet meeting by speaking at the Cabinet meeting and offering their thoughts there. And none of them did. And when the decision is made, the decision notice is published, and once the decision notice is published, it takes 5 councillors to call in that decision so it can be reviewed before a scrutiny committee. None of them did. So you may want to ask yourself, if any of those people over there represent you, anyone who's opposing this is representing your seat, is what were they doing? Were they asleep? Did they not notice? Councillor Isaac was quoting how the report that was published before the Cabinet meeting, he had issues with it. Is he just like the world's slowest reader? It's taken him 8 months to get to that point? It's ridiculous. I then moved on to...
Whoa, one at a time.
It was more in jest, but you get the point. There was an opportunity to call this in and have it reviewed through scrutiny. The decision was made by these councillors not to, or perhaps they didn't notice it. The second thing goes on to listening. And I've been to one of the meetings as well. And do you know what the biggest issue seemed to be? There's obviously a number of issues.
Hold on, Gavin, just hold on there.
For the avoidance of all doubt, I actually spoke at the Cabinet meeting where that decision was made.
I apologise, Councillor McCormack was there.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we corrected.
I correct that decision. I don't remember him speaking particularly against it, but he did highlight concerns. He was a regular, so yes. But either way, it wasn't called in. That's the facts of the matter. In terms of what we've been doing so far, in terms of listening, we have listened because one of the issues around certainly the athletics is if you go there of an evening, Tuesdays and Thursdays, it is packed. The amount of cars all over the place. Parking is a problem, lots of residents have told us. So as part of the reprovision of the pitch and putt, we're putting in additional car parking spaces. More parking spaces than will ever be required. 50 spaces. We've heard earlier, 52,000 people using that site, using the golf. That's spread over, that's 1,000 a week, that's obviously sharing a car. And certainly in the evenings, there's very rarely going to be more than about 5 or 6. And certainly I know Councillor Morrow's been down and checking on a regular basis. You generally get 4, 5, 6 cars. So it's an additional 45 spaces. So this is improving access to parents taking their children or adults driving themselves to the athletics facility. It's an improvement. You've heard about biodiversity, lots of complaints about biodiversity. We know that we're going to improve the biodiversity of the site by doing what we're doing. But it goes beyond just that. In the capital programme that's emerging, we will have a new AGP pitch for the rugby club, or for the use of the rugby club. That can be used for 50 hours a week rather than the normal 5 hours a week, giving more space for sports and also freeing up that additional space. We also know part of the site is owned by the County Council. They're very difficult to communicate with at the moment, but we do know that in about 3 years' time, there'll be a unitary authority, and they have the ability to look at that land and decide whether or not they want to extend the facilities to the athletics club as well. So there's a lot more happening. There's a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is to unlock Great Wolf.
Just 1 minute.
Great Wolf is a huge opportunity for this town. And whether you want to use it or not, what it does do is going to bring around 400,000 people to the borough every year. These are people who are coming for a couple of nights. They are people who are then going to town. They will use our shops. If you want a town centre to thrive, you do need more than just local residents, and this will provide it. So actually not doing it would be harmful. The final thing I'll say is about the sites. We've been through the sites, 48 sites. What we didn't want to do when we looked at the list of the 7 sites that were big enough, that were on a bus route, is cause panic, because all of those sites have significant issues. I can say that Old Down is large enough. We were never going to build an Old Down. So I think it's important for us, the decision was made not to share all the sites because we didn't want to raise panic. This was the site we were going to fit in. Thank you.
That's well done. We don't need any schoolboy interruptions. We don't need any school ball interruptions. Okay. Harvey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We don't take decisions we make lightly in this place, and nor should we. Decisions like this one will be carefully considered from all angles, and it will be debated thoroughly as it has been. Kerry's led a process of listening to the users, the sports clubs and the residents, and I think some of the tactics being used by some people and politicians do need some careful reflection. Because, for example, thousands of names on the petition have dropped off because they are people who do not live in our borough. They shouldn't be signing a petition relating to Basingstoke and Dean in the first place, and we are still reviewing that petition because of that. The future of the pitch and putt matters. It matters to the 15,000 users who used the facility last year. It matters to the 19,000 users who enjoyed the driving range, or the 21,000 users who enjoyed adventure golf. Those facilities are used by families, by people who are starting out in the sport, and they matter too in this debate. When Great Wolf arrived in Basingstoke, presenting first as they did to the Conservative Cabinet back in March 23, and that Cabinet chose to proceed with the negotiations, they decided to sell the pitch and putt. That decision came with a consequence, the need to re-provide the facility. Now, I remember Simon Bound's little silly note on the day one of our brand new administration in 2023, telling me how important Great Wolf was and how we should not block the investment. This motion, as it is written, would block the investment. This is a major opportunity for our borough. £333 million of inward investment. Now, there are plenty of towns around our region who would kill for that kind of investment. The important point is that it's more than 600 jobs in the hospitality industry that would be created. Jobs in an industry that's been hit hard by COVID. We're talking about jobs, apprenticeships and careers for people. Great Wolf will also open up opportunities on the leisure park and the town centre for further investment. Now, people, major institutions and major companies are looking at what we do. They've made it clear that Great Wolf matters to whether they choose to invest in our town. Which is why I find it surreal that the Labour group take the position they do, because they're clearly not behind Great Wolf, when it's their MP working with us to hold a business week in November inviting companies to locate to and invest in Basingstoke. We are carefully considering the feedback that we've been given. And despite the misinformation and the untruths and the conspiracy theories that have been suggested...
Harvey. What's your point
of order? There is
order?
no point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Down Grange, not Great Wolf.
There is no point of order, Mr. Mayor. It doesn't exist in the Constitution. We are considering carefully the feedback that we've been given. And there has been misinformation, there's been conspiracy theories and so on suggested about these actual proposals. Down Grange we chose for a good reason, with good evidence. Ward councillors have been briefed from the start. The decision to proceed with Great Wolf and examine Down Grange was taken over 9 months ago. It wasn't challenged, as has been said. No one called it in. Not one chair of any of our now 3 scrutiny committees called it in to look at. Policy EM5 and CN8 of the existing local plan are relevant because the Conservatives' local plan from 2016 says any development proposed must replace or improve the facilities that will be equivalent or better in terms of quality and quantity and accessibility. So the only way in planning policy we get Great Wolf is to re-provide the pitch and putt. The planning application for the re-provision is linked to the delivery of Great Wolf, and all of the sites that we've examined have got constraints. All of them do. Doesn't matter where you try to put this in the time frame that we have so that we don't lose Great Wolf. All of the sites have got constraints. And it's how you go about managing the issues and managing the concerns to achieve the result that we want at the end of the day that is the key point of this whole debate. The location for Down Grange was because it was the most logical option. Now, we will be open and we'll be clear on the evidence base that we're using. But it's the site that's linked to sports facilities. It's a proposal that helps to resolve parking issues at Down Grange. It's a proposal that uses the scrubland behind Miller and Carter that's currently used by our ops team. It's a proposal that still enables anyone to walk the site responsibly with their dog, to enjoy the site as they've always done. No trees are going to be lost. People can still use the meadow and the open space as they have always done. We're talking about a pitch and putt. 6 simple holes, not a golf course. The grass field isn't biodiverse at the moment, but the proposals we are introducing will increase biodiversity and it will create a corridor along the land. We're looking at the leisure park. We've been that from the start of this process. It's not a new idea that we're looking at the leisure park, but it won't be like for like. So we need to really consider all of the facts. hear all of the views that are expressed, and then reach a decision. There's more work to be done on the environmental aspects, securing the biodiversity gain, and we'll publish all of that. We're not going to lose Great
You need to sum up.
I will, Mr. Mayor, but I was interrupted. We are not going to lose the Great Wolf opportunity, and we will re-provide facilities. We have to find a solution. And if we do lose Great Wolf from that £330 million of investment, and we lose the 600 jobs, and the investment that falls away from any other of our major projects in the town and borough, then we will know who to blame. There will need to be compromise and sensible conversation from all. Those who choose to play party politics now should remember what they have promised the borough historically and what they say they want from our borough. We have to be about solutions and not silly political games.
Councillor Hart.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, I am anti-golf. If this was a golf course, I'd be having none of it. I've heard many residents on this, many against, some for. So I've had meetings with Councillor Morrow. I went to the drop-in. I've spoken to local biodiversity volunteers. Overall, I am reassured that the project outlined so far is appropriate. I completely understand the strength of feeling on this petition, and I share the want to protect green space, so I understand why it's worded passionately, but that passion does translate into some claims that aren't the case, otherwise I would have signed it myself, as we've heard. The plan doesn't touch the nature that is stated there. The petition cites the tranquility of the area, which I think is key, but also the numerous sports that are played there, some quite vigorous, some noisy, some already with flying projectiles and things. I don't think that's contradictory. I think it indicates a great balance of use, from peacefully seated to active and competitive. And this plan is designed to sit alongside and within those things, not instead of. It won't replace this community that loves Downgrange. It will expand it and introduce Downgrange to more Basingstoke residents who I'm sure and hope will adore it and cherish it as every bit as much as you do. I will examine the planning application very, very carefully for residents and because I believe in free access to green space, and if the assurances that I've had aren't met, I will be the first one jumping up and down in opposition. But right now, I feel that those concerns have been mitigated. I considered the motion. When public feeling runs this high, it is sometimes a reason to press pause if there's no harm in delaying. But in this case, as we've heard, there is that risk of harm. I do agree with some of the motion because I respect that strength of feeling that we've seen here this evening. I think that we should go above and beyond to demonstrate that these concerns won't come to pass. So I'm going to ask that this administration commit to further environmental consultation, publicising it. I ask that we immediately publicise the business case evidence, all of it, and the reasoning for the site choice, and engage with the space users directly to discuss and show how it will all fit together, and then I will not feel the need to support this motion. I understand the mistrust when we're told by those in power, you know, don't worry, it will be fine. I mean, God knows we've been given enough mistrust over the last couple of decades. But all we can do is make decisions based on the information that's in front of us. And I have promised to be a councillor that is honest about those decisions and my reasoning. And even if it's not what every resident wants directly to hear, rather than amplifying and playing on their fears for leaflet photographs, which serves nobody in the long term. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Blackberry.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hadn't come with anything prepared, and actually Councillor Hart's just said much of what I wanted to. I'm always in favour of more scrutiny, and we've heard this evening that we could have had that in advance of tonight, but there's no harm in people bringing it forward now. There is a risk of harm if we delay our decision and Great Wolf pulls out, so I am concerned about that. I'm sure we've all had emails over the last few weeks about this. 2 of my residents in my ward sit at the back of the room and have spoken this evening already. I had a bit of dialogue back and forth with them. They've highlighted some issues, some concerns they have with the scheme as it stands. Now, I don't think it's entirely accurate, some of what's been reported on in the media, some of what was listed in the petition, some of the descriptions of it. I mean, even the thing that we're voting on this evening describes it as a golf course. It's not a golf course. So accuracy matters. And like Councillor Hart said, I would be very keen to see the business case, see why other sites were looked at and then discounted, because we all deserve that information to be publicly available. You know, the residents have concerns, and they have a desired outcome, fine. They really genuinely don't want this to go ahead, and their obviously preferred outcome would be that we vote against this and it all goes away. That's unfortunately not how democracy works. We have to deliver the needs of the users of the pitch and putt currently. We have to take into account the needs of the people that use Downgrange. We have to take into account the needs of the future of this town. You know, there are future generations that are going to benefit from potentially having Great Wolf as an employer, as an amenity attraction to the town. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that a little bit of extra scrutiny is good. If we can publish that information, fantastic. I don't think it's going to result in the outcome that many of you have come along this evening seeking. We can't just make this go away, unfortunately. And I really, really agree with a lot of your concerns. We will do our best to mitigate them. We will do our best to manage your needs and the needs of and other considerations. You know, we chatted via email, Stuart, you know, earlier today, and I said I would raise the points. Most of them have been raised, so I haven't now stood up to speak about them. And I really hear where you're coming from. I'm sorry that it's come to this, but God, and I really don't want to sound like a politician, but sacrifices for the sake of the greater good sometimes affect you personally. And you never want to be the one being affected personally. You know, if someone came and said, I want to build a pitch and putt outside my back gate, I would not be very happy about it. But so I have a lot of sympathy. I really do. And I'm ever so sorry that your fears exist and that they might prove founded. I'm not sure they will. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, as an administration, if they can publish the data, that will set your mind at ease a little bit. And if it won't, then hopefully the reality will show itself in time, in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years' time. Hopefully we'll all just be living our lives, getting on with whatever the outcome is. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Vogt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I wasn't intending to speak this evening either, but there have been some very interesting speeches, and I think it's behoving on us to listen to what other people have got to say and then add to it if we think we can. And I agree particularly with Councillor Tustain's point. It did need to be made that the facility pitch and putt is really good. Crazy Golf is really good. They're all things that our administration were going to re-provide. We hadn't decided where. It is important not to lose that. But it has to be in the right place. So people who are speaking about the location of it are quite right. This motion does not say, don't put it at Downgrange. It says, look at it, please. Let's be a bit more open about it, please. Let's see what's being said and why and where. It doesn't deny it. It says, let's look at it in a bit of a more open way than it feels like it's been done now. No one here has said anything against Great Wolf. Personally, and I think most of us would agree, Great Wolf will be a great asset to our town. We might complain about the traffic, we might complain about crowds, but we know it will bring a lot of business to our town. So we are not denying Great Wolf. I think it's a great pity that some people here have brought the politic word into this debate. 6,000 people have not brought this on a political time. They have brought it because of the location and the impact it has on their lives. This is not 6,000 Conservatives or 6,000 Labour. They're of all political hues. And when we talk about 6,000 people, I would just like to point out that yes, there are a proportion of people in that petition who are not borough residents, but they are users of that site. We have one of the best athletics clubs in the south of England. We have world-class athletes that have come from that Downgrange facility. We have some of the best hockey facilities in the country. It is a fantastic facility. The rugby club there is part of the community. They are fantastic. They hold lots of events. They're inclusive. Now, at the moment, Downgrange is a sort of symbiotic harmony. It lives there, all these lovely team sports as well as the athletics. They have people walking their dogs, people enjoying the countryside, and it lives in a harmony. It's quite unique. The sports facilities are close, but just far enough apart. They don't impede on each other, and they all live there together. Parking is the biggest problem that I hear about at Downgrange. You know, it's a great place. You know, Councillor Hart is saying she doesn't want to support the motion, I suspect because she's being whipped in some way that she shouldn't support that motion. Well, you know, to be honest, Councillor Hart, through the chair, I would say that what she said was actually what the motion says here. Publish what has been said. Let's talk about it. Let's not drag it down into politics. Let's support this motion. Do what people are asking. It's not that much. It won't undermine Great Wolf. Let's re-provide the pitch and putt and the other facilities, but in the right place. And if it ends up being where it's suggested at Downgrange, we'll have to accept that. But let's look at it again. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Basham.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've listened with interest tonight, this debate. I've followed this closely since the beginning. Whenever we protect green space or whenever we look at petitions, these are two personal areas of interest for me. I respect what Councillor Tustain said, but I do think the place for all of this is scrutiny committee. But I do also support the fact that this is about public access to junior golf, essentially. These are low velocity golf balls. That's all I've ever been allowed to use at the existing pitch and putt facility. So, Councillor Jones, I appreciate you hit the ball quite hard, but they are low velocity balls. So maybe I think you made a joke. What I would say though is that it is known that golf courses generally do destroy green habitat, and of course I think you were a member of the Basingstoke Golf Club. And all of the members got quite a nice capital receipt for destroying all the green space down there. So I would say don't hit your golf balls too close to the Downgrange glass house. On green space, I'm always interested in protecting green space. We've heard from Councillor Jenkin in his maiden speech on biodiversity. Councillor Ganesh asked, what does Natural Basingstoke think or say? We should be consulting them. They've remained conspicuously silent. The Romans said that silence is consent. I suspect that Natural Basingstoke would have spoken out against the pitch and putt if this really did destroy green habitat. The answer is it does not. On petitions, a good petition is carefully worded. As the current record holder for 2,600 Basingstoke and Dean signatures on a petition in recent memory, I followed the petition with interest, and I do have an apology to make to officers who've had to scrub that petition, because it's me that spoke out against using modern gov software, because it takes 15 minutes to register and sign a petition. On change.org it takes 15 seconds. I've signed it 4 times, all using my single Basingstoke address, all as various Disney characters, and today I signed it as Little Red Riding Hood. I believe that the signatures have only been curbed down to 4,000 because that's the limit at which it would trigger a debate in the chamber. So that's where officers needed to get to keep that debate in accordance with the Constitution. I suspect that once that list is properly scrubbed, it will probably come down under 2,600 and I will still hold the record. I respect the hard work. However, that said, I do not underestimate the strength of public feeling on this matter. I respect the hard work to generate interest in the petition, but its contents are flawed. It talks about the destruction of trees. There is no destruction of trees there, and destruction of habitat, which has already been covered. So ultimately, you know, I think the sensationalist and flawed language of the petition undermines its credibility. I play a bit of pitch and putt, so I find myself being a strangely reluctant. I'm not a golfer. I'm one of those people that I think said earlier that people who play pitch and putt aren't golfers. That's me. I do use the driving range. It's not a great facility. Residents could do with a new one. But I must say that the pitch and putt is sited in mature parkland, and if we're looking for a like-for-like replacement, then that's what we need to do. The prospect, I think there's an alternative kicking around of people talking about putting it on the leisure park. The prospect of knocking some balls around a couple of urban holes at the leisure park doesn't really fill me with excitement, I must say, as a reluctant golfer come pitch and putter. Whoops. Excuse me, Toby. I do want to thank our Conservative colleagues for bringing Great Wolf to the table 3 years ago. Councillor Isaac is quite right to raise investor confidence. Well done, John. Councillor Menas-Bound did leave a handwritten note for Councillor Harvey saying don't block any investment in a holiday resort. Today he was in the Gazette calling for Plan B. Plan B would torpedo Great Wolf. So I was looking forward to seeing how he would vote this evening. I suspect that sensible Conservative colleagues will not want to vote for this motion because it will clearly mark them as anti-development and anti-prosperity for this borough. If you are whipped, with hindsight, perhaps it would have been better to follow your leader. Sadly, it is par for the course that some colleagues exhibit economic naivety. It saddens me because low growth affects the lowest paid the hardest. The proposer and seconder underestimate the economic damage caused by this motion. It will torpedo proposals for significant inward investment in this borough, and it will damage an economic halo effect that would bring further investment and jobs. Many of us watch aghast as our political leadership in Westminster struggles to deliver economic growth. We should not copy their example in Basingstoke. I will be voting against this motion, and I would encourage anyone that is for modernisation and growth to also vote against. Secure the inward investment. Share the public land, our borough sports hub. Thank you, Councillor Putty, for pointing out how many sports coexist at Downgrange. And develop our leisure offer. Finally, I encourage the proposer and seconder to use the scrutiny function to find the answers they seek. That is what proper scrutiny does. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Members, does anybody else want to speak? We've had 17 speakers, including the seconder. I think it's been a healthy debate. If not, Councillor Jones to sum up. So Councillor Morrow.
Reference to me, I believe, in the last speech. I did not, nor does my club, ruin the environment. It was passed by our planners. So I think you've got to get your facts right. Thank you. And whatever money I received was what I received it the proper way, not hidden. Nothing to do with the council.
I apologise, Councillor Jones.
I'm sorry, I think it's a bit late for that when you write things down.
That's fine.
When you come off the cuff, I could understand it.
We all have to do it with our hypocrisy.
Use that dribble.
Councillor Morrow.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I did put my hand up to speak. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just to talk to Councillor Isaac, who asked me about the portfolio and how we have to consider Great Wolf and delivering it. Well, you know, this administration, you know, and certainly when you were in power, you had to deliver on large leisure facilities such as the ice rink, the aquadrome. They weren't going particularly well. This administration has moved those things along and will deliver, and I'm confident that we'll deliver on leisure facilities in the future. Also, the Cabinet decision to explore Downgrange as the preferred site was in January 2025. That was 9 months ago. In that time, I have no meetings with either Councillor Jones or Councillor McCormick. It's very disappointing that a motion has been raised in this reactive manner without any dialogue with myself in the 9-month period. I did get dialogue with Councillor Hart. She was concerned about issues. I openly exchanged the facts on the thing, and I would do that across the house, the chamber. I don't know what I've been watching. In that, I want to make it very clear to Council, the point 2 around engagement and consultation, you know, that has been done and will continue to be undertaken. In the 9-month period after the Cabinet decision, I've gone above and beyond to make sure that the clubs at Downgrange and residents are aware of the proposal and have had the opportunity to put their views forward. It's disappointing that a motion has been raised without consulting on what work has already taken place. And a lot of councillors have mentioned a lot tonight, but what they haven't done is ever come and have an open conversation with me. My door's always open, and I think you should put the effort in that 9-month period, not responding to something 9 months down the line. We're councillors and we've got a job to do. But also to make, with my sports and leisure portfolio hat on, I want to voice my support for the clubs currently at Downgrange and my commitment to shape the proposal with the minimum impact on the individual club. But also to make a plea to consider the residents who use the current golf centre as recreation and leisure golfers. The group are losing their facility and we have the responsibility to re-provide. It is in our built sports facility strategy to maintain the minimum golfing requirements. That is the same strategy that is used to protect and enhance all clubs and sporting facilities in the borough. The recent continuing report on golf requirements shows that the popularity of golf in this borough is 4% higher than elsewhere in the south, and the south is higher than the national average, which also is growing. The advice of Golf England is that Basingstoke Golf Centre is the most valued and in most need because it offers grassroots golf as a stepping stone into the game. The other facilities are too advanced. This is why re-provision is so important, and a careful balance between the massive benefits of Great Wolf and the difficulty of re-providing the golf facilities in a borough-owned town centre location. On a personal note, one of the most powerful bits of misinformation in the campaign and petition is the destruction of Downgrange, and especially the fear raised about destroying the environment. One of my hobbies is bird watching. I also volunteer and support the conservation group at Wigmore Heath. I understand and love nature, more than most things in life. That is why it's disappointing to hear the misinformation around destroying the environment. I understand biodiversity and if the proposal goes ahead, would push for the maximum biodiversity net gain possible. Remember, this is B&D land, and the B&G will not be left to a developer. We will control it and we will make sure it's realised. Finally, the motion asks Cabinet to reconsider, yet proposes no alternative. I've heard a lot of people saying it should be elsewhere, but where? We will talk about the other sites later. Let me tell the Council I've spent months considering the pros and cons of the proposals and will continue to do so, taking on board the public feedback. As a Cabinet member, I will lead and listen to residents' arguments that will shape my thoughts. The Cabinet will continue to make good decisions on reasonable feedback, not the loudest voices. We will continue to deliver what is best for all residents to the best of our abilities. I ask the Council, what does this motion achieve? For me, it delays the process, and I leave it up to the Council to decide whether to support or reject this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I can't see any more speakers, so Councillor Jones to sum up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Right, well, I think I'm going to be putting some people right. One, the golf course is not, or the pitch and putt is not like for like. But we're not talking about the pitch and putt. We have asked you, if you look in your paper, it says request the Cabinet to reconsider its decision to progress and plan for the golf course at Downgrange. That's what we're actually asking you for. Ensure there's a comprehensive public consultation. 2, call on the Cabinet in full the business case, put forward the business case. Secondly, this Great Wolf thing, who has actually said we don't want it? That's the only way we will get the pitch and putt somewhere, like for like. And let's be perfectly honest with you, this is my view, not my colleagues or any of this lot, is the fact it's a cheap way of doing it at Downgrange, if I was honest with you. 6 holes, virtual, come on, get real with it, so you start charging the youngsters more money. You know, we weren't born yesterday. I'm sorry you feel the way you do and you're all sticking together, which is fine, but the public don't come out for no reason on an evening. So I hope you change your mind, even if you abstain. Thank you, hope you all vote.
Shall we move to the vote? Shall we move to the vote? Record. I'll just ask the monitoring officer to advise you.
So this afternoon, the deputy monitoring officer provided some advice to councillors on DC and to the reserves. So she gave out some advice on that, but when it gets to DC, you just need to think carefully whether you are predetermined or not. You've all been those on DC have been trained on considering those matters. So if you need to take advice when it gets to DC, you need to come to myself or the deputy monitoring officer. So it's the impact on DC rather than tonight, I would say.
So, is everybody... That motion is lost. We move on to item 13 on the agenda, adoption of health in all policies approach. Councillor Connor to move.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This motion proposes that the Council adopts a health in all policies approach. We know that the health and well-being of our residents is shaped not only by healthcare services, but by the wider determinants such as housing, transport, education, employment, environment and community safety. These are the everyday systems we will soon be governing, and they have a profound impact on people's lives. HIAP is a nationally and internationally recognised framework for embedding health, particularly public health, in our context, local authority, into decision making across all sectors. It's about prevention, early intervention, long-term savings, but more than that, it's about fairness, sustainability and inclusive growth. I'm proposing that we take practical steps to include health and wellbeing impact assessments within the Cabinet and Committee reports, and secondly, to advocate for a high-up approach within the planning and design of the new unitary authority, working with NHS partners, schools, businesses and community organisations, etc., in order to align efforts and reduce inequalities. We may be approaching a transition, but our responsibility to residents remains. By adopting HIAP, we can ensure that every policy decision considers its impact on health and the well-being, that we build a future council rooted in collaboration, equity and well-being. Thank you, and I look forward to your support.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Councillor Harvey, do you want to second now? Or
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll second now and say we know that the whole health agenda is absolutely huge area of policy, particularly when we're talking about devolution and local government reorganisation. It comes up consistently as an issue on our doorstep. It isn't just an issue that relates to the Borough Council or the County Council or our national government. It is an issue that relates to our communities. And so the health agenda and what is now being pushed out by the government in terms of neighbourhood health becomes really important for us to think about very, very carefully. The idea of localised care becomes really important to us. That's a critical overlap with what local government does, and it's a community-based approach. And if we take this seriously, and if we begin to look at this seriously, as we are asking this evening, then what that means is we can begin to examine preventative care and preventative treatment and preventative relationships between all of those organisations that we need to bring together. This is a huge, major shift in the way we think about the delivery of services. And in many ways, we start now a process that will lead us through to wherever we land on local government reorganisation and devolution in the future. It has got such potential to change the lives of so many of our residents if we get this right. We constantly hear the conversation about food poverty, about the issues of fuel poverty, about the context in which cost of living crisis is directly affecting the health and well-being of our residents. We consistently hear about the issues of access to GPs, access to health services and waiting lists. We consistently hear the issues of the pressures of social care and how our county council colleagues have consistently struggled across the country, not just in Hampshire, to deal with the social care issues, and we need the government to step up. So this entire agenda is huge. It covers so many different aspects of our residents' lives. And so the idea here of talking about a health policy run through what we do, how we move forward as a borough, working with our partners is so important. Whatever comes in the future, this is going to be a key area of work for our communities and for us, and the infrastructure implications are going to be huge. So if we begin and accept this motion tonight, it will begin a process of work. It starts us in the right direction, and that's the point. We don't want to leave it to the last. We don't want to be thinking about this 3 years down the line when LGR is coming at us or when devolution is happening. We need to start the process now, and that is the point of the motion. It also takes very seriously the issues of capacity, the capacity of this council as to what we can achieve and we can do. And we want to do it in partnership with our partners in health in order that we can leverage their capacity and their support too. So this has got huge implications, and this could be very positive for our residents in so many different ways. I commend the motion to colleagues this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Ganesh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank Councillor Connor and Councillor Harvey for bringing this motion forward. It's a really important discussion, and the timing is quite fitting. We've just spoken about Downgrange, which shows exactly how council decisions can have a real impact on residents' health and well-being, sometimes for better, sometimes not really. So no one here would disagree that health is shaped by far more than NHS and our GPs and our CCGs. Things like housing, transport, education and employment are all really matter. And I support the principle of thinking about health more broadly and embedding that into our policies and our committee decisions. But I do think we need some clarity before moving forward, because if we are asking for health impact to be assessed on reports, how exactly will that be done, and who will be delivering on those, who leads that work, and what kind of resources or training would it need? We need to make sure that this is not just this is more than just a tick box exercise, because there's a bit of an ambiguity around how this can be translated into our policy. So the motion also refers to a long-term savings and better outcomes. So, but I would like to see some more evidence from other councils how this can be translated into savings or better outcomes, and how does it actually work in practice. So, and with move to and especially we are moving towards a unitary authority from 2020, and how do we ensure this isn't lost in translation? Or has there been any engagement yet with those leading the transition of moving to a unitary authority? So lastly, I speak for the communities within my ward, like Sherborne, St John's and Rookstown, with half of my ward is rural, and the section of the ward around hospital which is growing fast with a very young population. Any policy must recognize this difference within the wards or within or around the borough. So one size won't fit all and it won't work. So I'm not opposing the motion, but I do believe more details is needed to make this more deliverable on a practical or day-to-day basis on our policies and committee discussion. So I'll be supporting this motion with the belief that this can be translated into some form of constructive outcome going forward, and not just as being borough council, but when we transfer or it should be translated into the unitary authority going forward in 2028. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks very much. Councillor Voe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm just trying to align the proposers and the seconders' speeches with our health and wellbeing strategy that we already have in place. That health and wellbeing strategy is supposed to put public health and how we work with our partners in health and social care into everything that we do. Every contract we have with community centres and sports centres is supposed to have elements in it that bring in health, that make sure we're inclusive and bring in all sections of our communities. I could go on and on about our health and wellbeing strategy. I feel that that strategy is there, and I'm told and advised by our officers that that is appropriate for our level of council. I absolutely agree with this motion if we were a unitary. I think it's premature. I don't think we should be deflected into looking into things that we can't actually do yet. I'm concerned that we are asking officers to spend a lot of time when they write papers, when they explore things, on issues that we can't actually do anything about beyond what's in our current strategy anyway. So therefore, I'm a little bit confused about the real impact of this motion. Will it actually do anything other than perhaps, and this is the bit that worries me, ask our officers to do more at a time when they're really busy people? Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm in two minds about this motion. I welcome it in principle because I think that health and well-being is probably the most prominent defining issue of our times in terms of physical health in the past 5 years, and also the growing mental health and well-being crisis that's enveloping our society, our places of work, and there's a number of reasons for that. I do think it is a bit premature, and on the eve of reorganising councils, I would like to point out that no council can bind its successor in terms of setting out policies for the new council. That is for the new council to decide, not for us. I do think that there would be value in employing this consideration right across the board with everything we do in the borough right now. Take down Grange, for instance. Taking into account the health and well-being of the many residents that have made representations before us tonight and signed that petition, and those from outside the borough who visit. I think it's a false distinction to rule out people because they don't live in the borough if they use a facility in the borough. If it's a human signature on a petition, that's a signature. If it's a bot, fine. If it's someone who's faked their identity, okay, then that's not real. But to say our visitors don't count when we're looking at our facilities, even the health and well-being of our visitors has to be taken into consideration. But to implement it now, when the council's on the brink of basically going out of existence and being replaced by another, I'm not sure I'm convinced of the value of doing that right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Mackay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank Councillor Collar for bringing forward this motion asking us to adopt a health and all policies approach. And I think I agree with those who said it's particularly timely. I think it's particularly timely with local government reorganisation on the horizon. If we prioritise health and well-being in the decisions we take, and I'm not ignoring the fact that we have a health and well-being strategy in place, but if we prioritise it in the work we do with our partners, we can address inequalities and enhance well-being in our communities. It's a systematic approach that will encourage interdepartmental working. It's not a new approach. In fact, it's been around since about 2013, which is time enough to have allowed the Local Government Association research to have found evidence that councils and therefore residents have benefited from the approach. Formal public health responsibilities lie with upper tier or unitary authorities. I'm not the first person to make that observation this evening. It's in our case with Hampshire County Council, which together with the Hampshire Health and Wellbeing Board, they have specialist resources and expertise that are not generally found in lower tier authorities such as Basingstoke and Deane, but it's coming our way. However, we can play our part by promoting better health and well-being in our communities by providing our partners facilities and services that support active lifestyles and community cohesion that prevent illness. So my conclusion is that a health in all policies approach will embed health and well-being considerations in our work. They are already there. We can embed them further, which can only serve to tackle inequality and create communities where we can all thrive. And I suggest it will help us as we move to become part of a unitary authority. Please support the motion.
Thanks very much. Councillor Cubitt.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to be supporting this outstanding motion. I think we're incredibly lucky to have an expert in Councillor Connor in our midst. And noting some of the comments that have been made, I don't think this is going to detract at all from what we are committed to as a borough council today. But I think it's absolutely essential that we do all the groundwork on all of the areas that we undertook to do at the extraordinary general meeting in the full council a couple of weeks ago. And in that very big, large document, there was sections on all of the areas that the new unitary will be responsible for, of which this will be one. So I think it's very timely, it's very important for all of the reasons cited by Councillor Mackay et al. And I don't think it'll detract from the obligations that we as a borough council have to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Lord James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's a lot of work going on at the moment within the borough, and when we're not on a unitary, but there still is a lot of work that goes on in relation to health. I'm involved in some of those pieces of work, and in relation to the anti-poverty strategy that I chair, a significant aspect of that strategy and the work we're doing with partners actually involves public health. And we have a public health officer who has responsibility for the borough, who is working with us on that piece of work. And at the moment, one of the pieces of work they're doing is looking at the lived experience of poverty. And we've also just done a piece of work and looked at the Poverty Strategy Commission that's come down from government, and we're analysing that. And a massive focus of that is about health inequality and about health. And so there is already, as a borough, work that we are doing. We're also looking at our community centres at the moment, and I'm working with Councillor John Mackay on that as to what we can do around social hubs and how we can bring about change in relation to addressing inequality. And that is a focus, and a lot of the focus of that work is health related as well. So, and I could go on and on. There's so much work at the moment that we're doing as a borough that has a health focus. So this is prior to us actually becoming unitary, but we need to be forward thinking. We need to really drive this agenda. County has a director of public health, and it is going to be a significant part of our agenda when we become a unitary, but we can't wait. We need to be now thinking about what that looks like, but also looking at what we're already doing. And as I say, there's a lot that we're doing. I know that the anti-poverty strategy is coming to an overview community. I think it's in this, I can't remember, but it's coming soon for January, is it? Yeah, for you to look at. So, and I welcome the opportunity to talk about and for you to scrutinise that work that we're doing. But there's lots of really good work that John is doing in relation to partnership working. So please support this motion. And thank you, Mark, for bringing this forward.
Thanks very much. Councillor Tostain.
Thank you. I haven't prepared anything to speak, so this is going to come from the heart, hopefully. I'm in support of this motion. Most of you will know I have a disabled son. A lot of you know I've been working with officers a lot around issues of disability and physical disability and learning disability, and it's something I want to see really firmed up in stuff we do. I agree with Councillor Vaux about the wellbeing strategy, and we are looking at that, resident services. And I think this stuff is really important, and I think if this is a way that we can pull this in when we review wellbeing strategy next year to strengthen what we do, to make it more inclusive, to make sure we firm up on some of our commitments. There's issues around substance abuse as well that I would love to see, and about community safety and how all this stuff is so important to so many people. And I commend Mark for bringing this. I think this is really important. And I also agree that, yes, it does take it beyond a lot of what the borough does, but I don't think that's a reason to stop us. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I can't see anybody else that wants to speak, so Councillor Connor, could you sum up?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Mayor. Well, thank you for the support. Back to the point that it might be preemptive. I suppose it could be viewed as that, but it's more about, at this stage, it's more about just getting the people thinking about it for when we do head towards the unitary basis. As we go forward, the relationships with partners will gain traction and solidify, and that's the sort of strategic thinking behind this motion. I've got not much more to say. That was my maiden speech. I think I've been here so long, you've forgotten.
I got the feeling we're all in favour, but do you want to move to the vote? Oh, we agreed. We agreed. All agreed then. We need a vote. We need a vote then, please. We need a vote. Motion is carried. Let's move on to item 14 on the agenda. Questions from members of the council on notice. I believe it's Councillor Dillo.
Here we go again. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll praise the submitted question. So the message obviously is clear. The community does not want to see Downgrange Park converted into any kind of golf course. And with that in that context, could the Cabinet member set out clearly which 40+ alternative sites were initially considered and by whom, how the shortlist of 8 sites were decided for the relocation of the pitch and putt facility, and provide the reasons why each of these shortlisted locations were discounted? And could the Cabinet member also confirm that there is actually no statutory or legal requirement to re-provision the golf facility if the Golf Wolf Resorts development goes ahead? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Firstly, I want to clarify that we are not proposing to put golf facilities on the open land at Downgrange. Something's wrong there. Firstly, I want to review the agreement. On all, missed out all. I want to clarify that we are not proposing to put golf facilities on all the open land at Downgrange. Our proposals include a 6-hole pitch and putt course and a golf pod style driving range, and it has been designed to keep large spaces as parkland for everyone to enjoy. As part of our work to provide grassroots sports facilities in the borough, we took a decision to re-provide the facilities that could be lost if Great Wolf Resorts is granted permission for its proposed indoor water park resort on the golf centre site. We reviewed all council-owned land in the borough. This came out with 48 sites. We then assessed these sites based on their size and ability to accommodate the facilities that accommodate the facilities. I want to point out that obviously those 48 sites, a lot of them were very small and wouldn't have allowed the sites the golf to fit in there. The remaining shortlisted sites following this process were Downgrange, Old Down, Beggarwood Park, Chinham Park, Popley Community Park, War Memorial Park, and Old Common. That was a combined War Memorial Park and Old Common, and many down south. I'm sure probably raises a few eyebrows about the options and the sort of response we would get with some of those. All the sites are challenging in some way due to conservation issues, size, loss of play areas being used for borough events, safety and lack of infrastructure amongst others. I know officers have briefed you on all the shortlisted sites, but I'm happy to resupply the detailed answers. With a large part of Downgrange site already...
Can you sum up, please?
Oh, sorry. We've pretty much covered everything today. Yeah, I'll get this to you, Sean.
Do you have a supplementary?
A brief supplementary. So, I'm feeling a little bit frustrated. You know, nationally, people across the country are feeling more and more frustrated and angry that their voices aren't being heard, and unfortunately, I feel that it's no different in Basingstoke. From the proposed regeneration of Buckskin and Southam to these obviously frankly outrageous plans to relocate the pitch and putt to Downgrange Park. Residents, well, they've gone now, but they just basically feel ignored and dismissed by this council's administration. To push ahead against such strong public feeling shows just how out of touch and tin-eared this council's administration, I feel, has become.
There's a question coming.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Okay, you've got 12 seconds.
Thank you. Will this council's administration finally listen to its electorate and accept that this proposal is totally wrong, but develop a plan B that will protect the Great Wolf development and kick these Downgrange plans firmly into the rough? Thank you.
I think that's back to you, Councillor Morrow.
Councillor Dio, you are well aware of the amount of engagement I've done on this. I've spent time with officers, I've had a lot of meetings over the last 9 months, a lot of information has changed hands, and I've also spent a lot of personal time going to see activities and the training sessions outside of this. So we are listening. The fact is that we have to listen to reasonable suggestions and things, and there's been a lot of misinformation put into this. Not saying that I don't take on board the residents' concerns, but like you say, nationally, you know, everyone is shouting, but not a lot of people are listening. So I think actually we have to actually get in a room and talk about things properly, and that's which I'm always open to do. At the moment, we've got a very loud campaign. We've got councillors on the opposition who are on that campaign. Come see me. I'm frustrated that I don't have more access and to talk to the campaign. Certain people in the campaign groups are very important in Downgrange. I want to go forward and I want the process to be more open. We want to talk more and we want to actually get to the bottom of this rather than saying that we're destroying and
you'll have to talk more at different times.
Yeah, negative language. We actually want to get to the facts and what's actually going to happen. Okay, cheers.
Second question, Councillor Dillo.
So this is slightly about up the road, the BMX track at Downgrange. Now, obviously, things have moved on a little bit, and so with that in mind, could the Cabinet member explain why the council has determined that Homestead's road entrance will be used to provide emergency vehicle access to the BMX track when residents did suggest alternative options such as using the existing road to Miller and Carter, and why simple fencing adjustments to the BMX run-up areas cannot provide a satisfactory and safer solution? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dillo, for yet another question. The access is a requirement of the ambulance service and allows the council to exercise its duty of care to the public and fulfil its insurance obligations. Discussions were held on site with the ambulance service to identify the most appropriate route to access the BMX jumps in the event of an accident. The ambulance service inspected the routes from Miller and Carter and said that this was not suitable. The route from Homesteads Road provides a direct route to the BMX track for ambulances in a safe manner. This route was agreed by the ranger team, who also looked at how it would at least impact on the environment. The contractor has completed half of the track. The matting will be backfilled and with soil and seeded, so it will be grassed over, and it will eventually be grass that will grow through. I can categorically reject the conspiracy theories about the access. The track is not suitable for HGVs, and it will not be an access for the pitch and putt, as the sub-base that we have laid is 20 centimetres deep with a wooden sides. It is perfectly usable for ambulances, which is the point. And to be absolutely clear, the only people that have ever proposed housing on Downgrange was a Conservative county council, and we stopped that, if you remember. The access has already proven itself. When an ambulance service used it to attend an incident where someone had fallen in the meadow and dislocated their hip. The Mayor also suggests, Councillor, that you need to stop chasing ambulances. Can I also say that when we're talking about anger, Councillor Dillo, earlier on, you were notified of these proposals in February, May and September.
You need to
and
sum
the
up,
first
please.
time that you raised these with us, Councillor Dillo, was in September. So please stop using this chamber for your political leaflets.
Would you have a supplementary?
Actually, Councillor James sort of answered it, but I've just wanted to ask if she could possibly just reiterate, so it's on the record, that the access route will categorically never be used for any maintenance traffic or construction traffic if the pitch and putt goes ahead. So ongoing. What is it? Is it just solely emergency access and nothing else?
I think you heard my response to your what you actually asked, so I don't think I need to answer that. I've already said that tonight, haven't I?
Okay, thank you, members. We're on to agenda item 15. Are there any questions to the Chair of the Cabinet or any committee on the minutes that are listed there on your agenda? I'm taking that nearly as a no. If that's the case, I'm declaring the meeting closed. I'll see you all at Diwali tomorrow night.